Hey everybody, welcome back to Grit and Grind. So as you can tell from today's title, we are getting towards the end of the season here, and it is time to service this machine right before we go into winter. So we are going to do new fuel filters, new oil filter, new oil. I don't have a brand preference necessarily or say that one brand of oil is better than the other, but we run Rotella in basically all of our equipment, so it just makes it super easy to do this. But consult your manual. For the Bandit 2550, you can run 1030, 1540, and I'm blanking on the last one, for the 49.5 horsepower Kubota diesel. I don't know on the Kohler models, so again, consult your manual for that. But I'll run that. I'm gonna run Kubota genuine fuel filters. You can get these a lot cheaper online. These ones did come from my dealer, and this also came from my dealer. So again, 49.5 horsepower Kubota diesel on this Bandit 2550. Here's gonna be your part number for your bigger fuel filter that has the separator at the bottom. Water separator. This will be your smaller filter, which is sequentially in line here. And then number for your oil filter, which if we come around to the back side of this machine, oil filter. So yeah, it's getting end of October here. And it's pretty gray outside. We've had rain quite a lot over the last week. It's getting down into the 30s and 40s. So want to get this machine serviced, get it put in the back because we are going to go end up getting the tractor here soon. Inevitably, snow is coming in western New York. So this garage is going to be taken up by the tractor. Let's get this serviced in the meantime. We are going to start with the fuel filters first because this machine isn't running right now, hasn't ran in a little bit. So we'll do that and hopefully not make a mess getting these filters off and getting this replaced. And then we will warm up this machine and do oil, which is pretty easy. Everything's pretty easy to service on here because it's not buried under covers and panels. But yeah, I'll pick you up in a minute and we'll get started. All right, so as you can see, I loosely have a drain pan fitted underneath there, just pushing that skirt pack. Just the way this machine is designed, you're probably going to make a little bit of a mess, so it is what it is. We're going to be ready with the paper towels, and of course I have Absorball that I use in case we're making a mess, just to make sure that we don't leave all that diesel or oil all over the floor. But we'll get started here in a moment with the filters and pick you back up. All right, so underneath your first filter, you have water separator. So we're going to take this loose first, then we're going to take this filter off. So you actually have your electronic fuel pump here that pumps into the secondary filter. So that'll go right into the motor. That hose routes through here. The nice thing about when filling these back up, you can pre-fill them with diesel, but you have an actual hand pump here or hand primer, so you can prime this filter up. You won't be able to prime this one without cycling the key because your electronic fuel pump's what's actually getting your fuel from this filter to this filter, but we do have a bleeder screw here. So let's get these filters off first, and then we'll, again, talk about how to do everything else. So this actually is lining up perfectly right now that it is making it into the drain pan without making a huge mess. If I just unscrewed this completely, that would be a problem. So what we're going to do is we are going to let this just siphon out at that rate. So not so much with these machines, but with my truck, for example, or my dad's truck, you can actually siphon out the fuel tank because all those pumps are at the very bottom of the fuel system. So just because, since this is draining, I'm going to take this filter wrench and crack that just a little bit. So that way, we don't have anything going here. But I mean, the way this hose is routed, it comes up from the tank. So it shouldn't happen, but we just want to be prepared. So let that drain for a minute here. Trickle down. I already have diesel on my hands. It's inevitable that you're going to get some spilled, some on you. Let's try to mitigate it as best as possible. Jumping in here, it does look like it's slowly dripping, but actually it is coming out at a constant rate. That's just the light on the stream. Give this a quick turn around again. And I'll pick you back up in a minute once that's finished. So as you can tell by the tire, I did make a little bit of a mess with this, but we have our new filter installed. The same separator that we took off of here is installed now too. They don't give you a new one when you get the new filter, but if you needed to order one, I'm sure you could get one. This one will be a little bit messier because we don't have a way to drain this. There's no drain on the bottom. So we're just going to try and do this quick, that we're going to unscrew this filter, install our new one. Helps if you go the right way with it. There we go. And we'll just take a little bit of that diesel, lube up this O-ring. You can use petroleum jelly or other products too, but this is all I ever do. Let's get that back on there. And these, you only have to put them on hand tight. Don't crank them down with this or you're going to make your job miserable the next time. Or if you're getting rid of your machine, make it miserable whoever is here next. So I'm going to clean up, because I got diesel all over my hands. And then we'll prime this, and I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so now we're going to hand prime this a bunch till you start to get some resistance on that. And I'm also checking for leaks, which I don't hear any, so that's good. Now we're starting to get some resistance. Don't see any leaks. Nothing actively dripping. Okay, so next, now that that's got some resistance, we have to crack that bleeder screw, and we're going to cycle this machine. You'll hear this pump start to run. We're going to cycle it a couple times till we get some diesel out of here. Alright, so this bleeder screw is a 10mm. Just open it up here. So now we'll turn the machine into the on position, and because this is a remote, I'm going to cycle it on. And we should hear that pump kick on. Okay. And there's still a lot of air coming out of it. So we're going to cycle this a second time. There we go. Solid diesel out of there. So turn this back off. Then we'll tighten this down properly. And we're going to wipe this off. Told you it can be a messy prospect. And you just try to mitigate as much as you possibly can, but you'll never prevent all of it. So all that's in here now is just from what was bled out of there. So we're going to try and soak this up a little bit. Give everything a wipe down. So now, in theory, if we have done our job right, this machine is going to start. And we're still going to be checking for leaks the entire time. But we're going to start this machine, going to let it warm up, so that way we can do oil next. So, cycle the key back on. Hit your power on the remote. Once the preheat completes, start. Not seeing any leaks, but I'm going to watch it for a few minutes, and like I said, we're going to let this machine heat up, and then we'll move on to oil. So we got our machine nice and warmed up, and the nice thing about this is drain pan already comes with an extended hose for your oil, and makes this kind of easy to drain. So machine's warmed up. This cap on the end of here is a 13/16. So we are just going to crack this and try not to make a mess, but again, probably gonna make a mess. Okay. Again, it's going to make a mess. Better angle on this to make it drain a little better. Actually, I know what we're going to do here. I'm going to put this back in for a second, and I'm going to go find and grab my handy dandy funnel. It's going to make this a lot easier to deal with. So that right there is a much better setup than what we were doing before. So now I'm going to go and crack open the fill port. Hope to see this draining a little faster. So it's marginally better. This machine calls for anyone outside the US, 7 liters. For anyone in the US like myself, 1.85 gallons approximately. So we'll let this drain out, and then we'll take our oil filter off, which we already have staged on top of the machine, and then we will replace that and start filling back up. But no need to bore you with this, so I'll pick you back up when we are ready for the next step. Alright, so we are done draining out of here. So we will put this back on, tighten it up. Just like so. And then we'll go to the other side and get our filter in. I'll show you that real quick. Alright, so we got our funnel coming in handy again into our drain pan down here. Filter's right here, new filter, stage ready to go. So we can't fill this because that's sideways, so it'll never work, so we're not going to bother. But let's try and take this off. Let's see. Try and get a good angle on this. Try not to knock that off and make a mess everywhere. This one may actually be reverse thread because it stopped. When you service a lot of machines, it's hard to remember this all. So, that right there. A little bit of spillage, but not too bad. Take a little bit of this and just coat that gasket on the new filter. Again, you could use different things, but I always just kind of use that. Not going to drop that into there because it'll just make a mess, but get some of the excess out. Set that on the rim. And I might as well let some of this drain out of the housing for a minute. All the old oil. And realistically, that's all we're going to get. So we're going to screw the new filter back on. This is a Donaldson. Just hand tight. No need for any more than that. I have a mess to clean up here. So I'll pick you back up again in a couple minutes when I get this cleaned up and we're ready to put oil in. Alright, so we have all the old oil drained out, everything tightened back up and cleaned off. So this machine holds 7 liters, which is about 1.85 gallons. And to start with, 1 gallon of Rotella. Again, consult your owner's manual. This is for the 49.5 horsepower Kubota diesel motor. I'm using 1540 because we run that in basically all of our equipment, so it just makes it easy. But I know it'll also run 1030, and there's one below that in certain environments, but I don't remember what it is. Consult your manual for the motor itself. So we're going to throw all of this in to start with. And I am looking for leaks. Not that I would expect to really see anything right now that's leaking. And I'm also listening for drips. Remember, we already tightened our cap back up on the other side. And before I start dumping the other gallon in, I'll just check the other side real quick. Yep, everything's good over there, no leaks. Exactly what we would expect. And I know it's not going to be on here, but we're going to look. Nothing even on the dipstick just yet. That was what was left here from when we drained it. Just so you can confirm. So we will start with about half this to see where we're getting a reading, but this is an additional 1 gallon, so it's going to take most of this. And it is kind of cold out in my garage today. It's only going to be a high of like 48 degrees. It's a little warmer in the garage, but not surprised this is taking a while. So that's a little over half. So once this drains out of my funnel, check and see where we're at. Starting to come up on the stick a little bit. So it's really just at the add mark now, which is what I would expect. So let's continue. So we are basically at the almost 1.9 gallons mark. So we'll let that sit for a second. And if it's a little bit over full, that's fine, because remember, you have to fill that filter as well. So this machine was never exactly at the full mark when I got it. It's just an acceptable range. So we're about Here's where your line is, and we're about right there. So I'm going to dump just a little bit more into it. So that put us just a tick below 1.9 gallons. And now we will start this machine up, let it idle. Make sure everything sounds good. And then we will recheck it again at that point. But before we do, I'm just going to check it one more time. Yeah, we're about right there on the stick. So should be well within optimal range. But let's start this machine and make sure. Again, I've been checking for leaks, didn't see anything. The fuel filters were fine, didn't see anything when it was warming up. So everything sounds good. Didn't see any leaks anywhere, so that's good. Now, let's recheck it one more time. See where we're at. We're still above the ad mark, but it's a little low than I would like to see, so let's go ahead and dump just a little bit more in there again since we filled that filter. That's not really concerning to me. Oily hands. That's going to be fun later. If you've never dropped a cap into your oil, are you even doing oil changes? Pretty much right where it needs to be, but it could go up a little bit more, and since I'm going to dump all the used oil back into these so I can return them, don't dump it, guys. Don't just dump it places. Since I'm going to do that, we're going to go ahead and put just a little bit more in here because we're pretty much out at this point. So it's not the end of the world. There we go. Perfect. Right where I would expect it to be. All right. So I will get this cleaned up. I'll fish that cap out of there before we do anything else. And then I'll restart this machine. I'm going to have to get it moved because in the next video we're getting the tractor over here for the first time. It's been at my dad's the entire time, and we've been getting a ton of use out of it over there, so that's not a bad thing. But that's going to do it for today's content, guys. If you enjoy this stuff, leave a comment below. Let me know. What other stuff do you want to see? Do you like when I service stump grinders or equipment? Do you want to see other things, operating equipment, stump grinding in general? Let me know. I like making content that you guys enjoy, so you got to let me know if you want to watch or don't want to watch something. Other than that, there's going to be a video popping up on the screen now. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content.